Secretary General, good to see you. I think one of the things you're hearing here as a common theme, really from all our colleagues, is this sense of urgency. So you're laying out the strategy, and I think some of the elements that you've highlighted in your testimony look like they're useful elements of strategy, but there's a strong belief that there's a lack of sense of urgency here. And I think one only had to watch the press conference between President Obama and President Hollande, and you saw one leader who was very urgent. He was going around the world trying to get our allies motivated on this, and you saw another leader, unfortunately it was our president, was very passive. And I think no matter what the strategy is, if there's not engaged American leadership, serious leadership, that people believe that we're in there and committed to this strategy, we're not going to be able to do any of these things. We talk about an Arab Army force. They're not going to follow unless they believe we're fully committed. So I think that's one of the elements of the frustration that you see among the members on the committee today. Let me ask you in terms of strategy. Now, this is a bit of a difficult question, but let's say that there's another kind of San Bernardino event, but maybe much bigger in our country. Maybe 200 Americans killed, an ISIS-directed attack on Americans. Would we keep the same strategy right now? Or would we keep the same strategic patience, as the White House calls it? Assume you had a crystal ball and you saw that coming 2 weeks from now or 3 weeks from now, where 200 Americans are killed by, would you be satisfied that this should be the strategy?
As far as the military campaign is concerned, Senator, I just want to say I share your sense of urgency, and as far
but it doesn't seem like the President does, and I think that's a real common. Even members of his own party have indicated that
he has encouraged General Dunford and me, and we have encouraged all of our subordinate commanders, as was said before, to propose ways to accelerate the campaign, and he has approved all the ones we've proposed so far. We expect to propose more, as I indicated, and to gather momentum in this campaign. With respect to others following,
so let me ask just the question. If you can address the question I asked. Assume there's a Paris-like attack, 200 Americans killed. God forbid it happens, right? None of us want that to happen. But let's say that happens, and it's directed by ISIS. Would you go back to the President saying keep the same strategy?
Well, look, Senator, if I had more to recommend to him to accelerate the defeat of ISIL in Syria and Iraq, I'd be doing it now.
But isn't that the key question, that we want to make sure we don't have 200 Americans killed in an ISIS-like attack? So we should be doing everything now, so we don't have to be motivated to do it once it happens?
I think, again, on the military campaign, it is, as I said, with respect to Homeland Security, and here I'd have to refer you to Secretary Johnson.
But they're all related, as you know.
Of course. And so forth. I know that you all are considering various provisions of the law that affect visa waivers and so forth. I think there are probably some improvements and steps that can be taken in that direction. And if there are, again, I would refer you to Secretary Johnson and Director Comey and Attorney General Lynch and others on that.
Well, Mr. Secretary, I think it's important. We can't wait for an attack, a big attack, we've already just had one, on our country to get the President engaged and more urgent. I think that's the frustration that you're seeing. Let me ask a related question on urgency. Do you believe that the longer ISIS holds territory, that increases risk to the homeland? You think that's so if they hold more territory and they continue to do so, does that increase risk to our citizens here at home?
Whenever a terrorist group finds safe haven somewhere from which to plot against the United States, that's a danger to the United States. We've been pursuing such groups since 9/11 and actually before, and we have to do that with respect to ISIL today. So yes, that's absolutely right.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.